Hare Krishna. So the Bhagavad-Gita class, chapter 4, text number 10. Vitaraga bhaya krodha ma maya ma upasritaha bahavo jnana tapasa puta ma bhavamaggataha. Vita, freed from raga, attachment, bhaya, fear, krodha, anger, matmaya, fully in me, mom, unto me, upasritaha, being fully situated, Bahava, many, jnana, knowledge, tapasa, by penance, putaha, being purified, matbhavam, transcendental love for me, agata, attained. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhakti-Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. Being freed from attachment, fear and anger, and being fully absorbed in me and taking refuge in me, many persons in the past became purified by knowledge of me, and thus they all attained transcendental love for me. Purport. As described above, it is very difficult for a person who is too materially affected to understand the personal feature, the personal nature of the Supreme Absolute Truth. Generally, people who are attached to the bodily conception of life are so absorbed in materialism that it is almost impossible for them to understand that there is a transcendental body which is imperishable, full of knowledge, and eternally blissful. In the materialistic concept, the body is perishable, full of ignorance, and completely miserable. Therefore, people in general keep this same bodily idea in mind when they are informed of the personal form of the Lord. For such materialistic men, the form of the gigantic material manifestation is supreme. Consequently, they consider the Supreme to be impersonal. And because they are too materially absorbed, the conception of retaining the personality after liberation from matter frightens them. When they are informed that spiritual life is also individual and personal, they become afraid of becoming persons again, and so they naturally prefer a kind of merging into the impersonal void. Generally, they compare the living entities to the bubbles of the ocean, which merge into the ocean. That is the highest perfection of spiritual existence, attainable without individual personality. This is kind of a fearful stage of life, devoid of perfect knowledge of spiritual existence. Furthermore, there are many persons who cannot understand spiritual existence at all. Being embarrassed by so many theories and by contradictions of various types of philosophical speculation, they become disgusted or angry and foolishly conclude that there is no supreme cause and that everything is ultimately void. Such people are in a diseased condition of life. Some people are too materially attached and therefore do not give attention to spiritual life. Some of them want to merge into the supreme spiritual cause, and some of them disbelieve in everything, being angry at all sorts of spiritual speculation out of hopelessness. This last class of men take to the shelter of some kind of intoxication, and their affective hallucinations are sometimes accepted as spiritual vision. One has to get rid of all three stages of attachment to the material world: negligence of spiritual life, fear of a spiritual personal identity, and the conception of void that underlies the frustration of life. To get free from these three stages of the material concept of life, one has to take complete shelter of the Lord, guided by the bona fide spiritual master, and follow the disciplines and regulative principles of devotional life. The last stage of the devotional life is called bhava, or transcendental love of God, love of Godhead. According to Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, the science of devotional service, Ado Shadar Tata Sadhu Sangha Tha Bhajana Kriya, Tato Nata Nibritishya Tato Nishta Ruchistata, Ata Shaksi Tato Baba Tata Prema Bhudanchati, Sadakanam Ayam Premna Pradu Bhave Bhavet Kamaha. In the beginning, one must have a preliminary desire for self-realization. This will bring one to the stage of trying to associate with persons who are spiritually elevated. In next stage, one becomes initiated by an elevated spiritual master, and under his instruction, the neophyte devotee begins the process of devotional service. By execution of devotional service, under the guidance of the spiritual master, one becomes free from all material attachment, attains steadiness in self-realization, and acquires a taste for hearing about the absolute personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. This taste leads one further forward to attachment to Krishna consciousness, for Krishna consciousness, which is matured in bhava, or the preliminary stage of transcendental love of God. Real love of God is called prema, the highest perfectional stage of life. In the prema stage, there is constant engagement in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. So, by the slow process of devotional service, under the guidance of the bona fide spiritual master, one can attain the highest stage, being freed from all material attachment, from the fearfulness of one's individual spiritual personality, and from the frustrations resulting from void philosophy. Then one can ultimately attain to the abode of the Supreme Lord. Vitaraga Bayakroda, Mamaya Mamupasritaha, Bahavo Gyana Tapasha, Putamad Bhavan Agata, being free from attachment, fear, and anger, being fully absorbed in me, and taking refuge in me, many persons in the past became purified by knowledge of me, and thus they all attained transcendental love for me. So Krishna, he has been given a discourse talking to Arjuna, telling him that because the Lord makes so many appearances. The Lord makes a lot of appearances. Like he said, Yadayade Damasya Glani Bhavati Bharata, Habibu Tanam Adamasya Tadatman Sujameham. He said, whenever there is predominance of irreligion, when there's pervasiveness of demoniac personalities, and especially when the godly people, the sadhus, when they are facing so much harassment, when they are being disturbed. So at that time, he said, the Lord said, I come. Sambhavami yuge yuge. I come in every age. So Lord Krishna told Arjuna. And many of those incarnations, some of them, they just come, perform some quick lila, and then they go back to the spiritual abode. Because the Lord, there are so many incarnations of the Lord. So a lot of those incarnations, they have different categories. Just like you have Kuma avatar, Matsya avatar, Varaha avatar, Vaman avatar, different incarnations of the Lord are there. Nrsimhadev avatar, Nrsimhadev, Parasuram. Then there's Lord Ramachandra came. So in many of those avatars, the Lord normally perform so many uncommon activities. The Lord perform extraordinary activities, which means those activities cannot really be imitated by human beings, even demigods, because the Lord perform extraordinary activities. For example, the Lord, he came to Bali Maharaj to beg 3 steps of land. And he was just a pygmy, Vaman means pygmy, midget, small, dwarf, very tiny. So a dwarf Brahman, how much step can he take? He begged for 3 steps of land. He said because Vaman came before Bali, and of course, being the Supreme Lord, he has such a beautiful form. So when Bali saw the Lord coming, he was very attracted. He said, oh, such a nice brahmachari coming. Nicely attracted. And he said, my dear brahmachari, what do you want? I'm sure you've come to me to beg for something. Tell me what you want. You're a brahmachari. Do you want to get married? If you want to get married, I have so many wonderful maidens for you. Just tell me anything you want. So Vaman said, I just want 3 steps of land. That is the charity which I've come to bear from you. Give me 3 steps of land. So his guru, the guru of Bali, who happened to know that this person, this is Vishnu. And this Vishnu is full of trick. Whatever I ask you, don't give him. But Bali said, look, I've already made him my promise, so I cannot go back on my promise. So, whatever this brahmachari is asking for, I'm ready to give him. So, Vamandev, he took 1 step. 1 step, he covers half the universe. Even though he was just a small, tiny midget, but when he started taking his step, 1 step covers half the universe. And do you know the size of this universe? This universe is 4 billion miles. That's very long. 4 billion miles, that is the size of this universe. That's the diameter of the universe is 4 billion miles. That is very big, because all the planetary systems are within it. So 1 step he took, that covers half the universe, and then the next step covers the other half of the universe. Now, there is no other place to put his 3rd step, because he begged for 3 steps of land. So what to do? He has, Bali, you've made a promise. You gave me. You said I can take 3 steps of land. Now I've only taken 2 steps, and the universe is covered. Where should I put my 3rd steps? So Bali, of course, he became surrendered basically. He said, my Lord, you can put your third step on my head. So the Lord put his third steps on Bali's head. So Bali became a great devotee. And of course, he became one of the great Mahajans. So there are so many of these lila like that, which this lila cannot be imitated by any human being. So the Lord telling Arjuna, he said, Jama kame chame divyan, evangelitattota. He said that if anyone can understand that my birth, my activities, my lila, these are transcendental, they are not honorary, they are not material, and one cannot understand the pastimes of the Lord with any form of materialistic consideration. So the Lord told Arjuna, if anybody can understand that my birth, my activities, my disappearance, these are all transcendental. If anybody can understand, he says, such a person will no longer take birth in this material world. Such a person will no longer take birth in the material world. Divyan lila. The Lord performs so many pastimes just to create confusion in those who are not devotees. One of the Lord's lila was that when it was time for him to leave the planet, when it was time for him to close his lila, when he came 5,000 years ago as Sri Krishna, it was time for him to leave. And that time, in Dwarka, this was after the Mahabharata war, and the Lord all the demigods, they went to pray to the Lord. They all went to the Dwarka, and they made a prayer that, our Lord, you have come for the purpose of to annihilate the demons and to establish the religious principles. Now, our dear Lord, you've executed your mission. Your mission has been successful. Your mission has been established. So therefore, if you so pleased, you can go back to your abode. So basically, the demigods, they came and they're asking, okay, my dear Lord, our Lord, you finished your activities, so you can please go back to the spiritual abode, like that. So the Lord, so he understood the desires of the demigods. He said, okay. So first of all, the Lord, he arranged for the annihilation of his own dynasty. In this case, the Yadu dynasty, whereby the Yadu, they fought among themselves, they killed themselves, and then they all went back to the spiritual world. And then the Lord himself, after everyone has gone, everyone has departed, and then the Lord, he gave instruction to whatever, which happened to be his last instruction, which is like a sequel to the Bhagavad-Gita. And then the Lord was sitting underneath a tree, big tree, in Prabhash Kshetra. So he was sitting underneath a tree, and then he put his left foot on his leg, his left foot hanging down. So there was one hunter, Jara. He saw the left foot of the Lord, and he thought this left foot of the Lord was a deer. So he thought this was a deer, and he aimed his arrow, and he shot this. He pierced the Lord's left foot, thinking that this was a deer. And then when this hunter went to the place where he had just shot an arrow, so he found out it was the Lord. The Lord was sitting there. And of course, so this hunter realized what he has done. So of course, the Lord was he was not angry with him. He was simply, he gave this hunter, he gave him the blessing that you've enabled me to close my pastime in this world. So the Lord, supposedly by being pierced by the arrow's hunter, so he left the planet. They finished. So non-devotees, they will say, this is supposed to be God. And God was shot by an arrow at his foot, and then God is killed. God is dead, Because the demoniac, they want to think that, okay, now God is dead. Now we cannot play the role of God because after all, God is dead. That's their mentality. But the Lord is always playing so many pastimes so that to create confusion in the minds of those who are not devotees. After all, if you can think of it, if you think of it clearly, that, see, there are many magicians who perform so many wonderful feats. Many magicians. There was one magician, he went to the palace of a king. So he went to the palace of a king along with his children. He had 2 sons and his wife. So he went there, and this magician, he performed so many tricks, so many magical tricks. So the king was very happy with the magician. He was very happy. And then the king gave him one very valuable jewels. He gave to the magician as a reward. So the magician, he took this jewel and gave it to one of his sons. That you can have this. So when the magician gave this jewel to the son, so the other son became angry. And then he started fighting with the other boy who was giving the jewel. He said that this is supposed to be mine, and the other son said, no, this is supposed to be mine. And these 2 sons, they started fighting with each other. So they were fighting with each other, and then as they were fighting, so both of them, they took up a knife, and then they stabbed each other. They stabbed each other, and then they died. Right, just right there. So when the wife of the magician saw this, that her 2 sons just killed themselves, she said, oh, what is this? My 2 sons, these are my lives. They just killed themselves. I cannot live. I cannot live without my sons. So she was lamenting. As she was lamenting, she took one of the knife, and then she stabbed herself, dead. She did this, and then she killed herself also. And then the magician was so mortified. He said, oh God, this is what is this? My family just killed themselves. How can I live? After all, being a family person, whatever a man does is for the sake of the family. So if the family is dead, what is the value of living? What is the meaning of continuing to live? So the magician took the knife, killed himself. So all this was happening before the king. The king was just surprised that these people, they come to perform magic in my palace, and all they do just to kill themselves. What is this? So the king told his people, he said, just throw them in the river. So they threw them in the river to get rid of them. What else to do? So the next day, the same magician come back to the king. He said, my dear king, I've come to collect my prize. So the king was surprised. I thought you just killed yourself yesterday. I saw yesterday your children killed themselves, your wife also killed herself, and then you kill yourself. All of you kill yourself, and I throw all of you into the river. You're completely dead. So the magician said, no, this is my last act. This is my last act, so therefore I've come to collect payment for that. I've come to collect payment for that. This is my last act. So, if an ordinary magician can perform, such an activity, so how much more the supreme magician, Krishna? Krishna is called Yogeshwara. The Lord is called Yogeshwara. From the pores of his skin, so many universes are coming from the pores of his skin. So what is this? What is this? So what is this? So the Lord, he is the supreme magician. So what is this? The so-called the Lord being killed? How can he start? It is the supreme magician. So the Lord, he enacts his own lila just for the sake of his devotees. That's why he enacted this only life. But non-devotees, they can never understand this. And that's why the Lord said, Jama kama chame divyan, evanyo vidita, to tell that if you understand that my activities, my birth, my disappearance, these are all transcendental. Then the Lord said, one will not take birth again in this material world. So, Vitaraga Baya Krodan, Mamaya Ma Upasitaha. So, giving up all kinds of attachment, Baya, Kroda, being fixed in the Lord, being totally absorbed in the Lord, these are all the paths that can enable one to actually be liberated from the ocean of materialistic existence. Because the Lord said that he said that my activities are transcendental. But as Prabhupada said here in the beginning of his purport, he said it is very difficult for a person who is too materially affected to understand the personal nature of the Supreme Absolute Truth. For one who's simply thinking about all the affection of this material world, the so-called love, the so-called situation. So someone who is thinking about that, such a person can never really understand the science of God. Raga, what is raga? Raga means attachment. Raga means attachment. Everyone is so attached in material, we are too attached to everything. And the main attachment is the opposite sex. That's the main attachment. A man is very attached to woman, and woman is very attached to men. And then a man's, not just that, a man's attached to family members and all these things. When there's too much attachment to family members, to all these things, society, when there's too much of all these things, becoming Krishna conscious is not possible. It's just not possible to become Krishna conscious. Because why it's not possible? Because to become Krishna conscious means one has to be attached to the Lord. One has to develop attachment to the Lord. And developing attachment to the Lord does not go together with developing attachment to one's family, friends, and kin. It doesn't go together. It's just like if you want to cross a river. So if you want to cross a river, and then you put your leg on two separate boats, and then you want to cross a river. So obviously you're going to face difficulty. Have you ever seen anyone crossing a boat with two legs on two separate boats? Have you ever seen anyone? No, you can't. It's not possible. One has to be a foolish person to do that. So similarly also, trying to develop Krishna consciousness, and at the same time also maintaining one's attachment to this material world, is just not possible. It will just take a long time, long period of time. We know that sometimes as devotees, many devotees, they'll be struggling for a long period of time. Tangible advancement is not there. Why? Because of this attachment that is there. Attachment to the society, to everything is not there. So Krishna said that if you want to come to me, you have to give up all those things that are very, very dear to you. You cannot maintain attachment to what is dear to you and at the same time trying to come to it. It's not possible. And that's why the gopis of Vrindavan, that's why they are so dear to Krishna. They love Krishna so much, and Krishna also loved them so much. And that's why the acharyas that say, Vrindavanam parityagya pada ekanam prajet. Krishna never left Vrindavan. Why Krishna never left Vrindavan? Because Vrindavan is a place where devotees love Krishna. When Krishna was playing his flute in the forest of Vrindavan, in the midnight, he was playing his flute. And all the gopis, no matter what condition of life they were in, they just abandoned everything and ran to the forest to be with Krishna. Some of them, they are little children which they were looking after. little crying children, little crying babies, which they were looking after. But the moment they hear Krishna's flute, they immediately give them all up and run to the forest to be with Krishna. Some of them, they were, serving their in-laws, making proper arrangement for their in-laws. Some of them, they were engaging service in rendering of service to their so-called husband. But the moment they hear Krishna's flute, they immediately give it up and run to the forest. Because Krishna immediately captivated the and they gave it up to run to. Even when after they reached the forest, even Krishna was surprised, said, "My dear gopis, you all are very respectable, ladies, young ladies. What are you doing here in the forest in the middle of the night, whereby there are so many fearful entities? What are you doing here? You should go back. Go back to your household." The gopis said, "No, our household means nothing to us. We just want to be with you only. That's all. It's you only that matters to us. You are our life." So therefore, Krishna becomes defeated by the argument of the gopis, because Krishna was making so many arguments why it's so important for the gopis to go back to where they come from. But the gopis, they gave stronger argument to Krishna, and then Krishna became defeated by the gopis, and then they engaged in Rasa Leela. You see. So therefore, Vitaraga means that one has to give up all those things that is dear to one in this material world. One's attachment to society, family, friends, everything. This has to be given up. And then there is fear, bhaya. Vitaraga, bhaya. Fearfulness. And what is fear? The fear is there that, to give up something is like, if I give this up, what's going to happen to me? What's going to happen to me if I give this up? For example, if I say, okay, you give me $100 and I will give you $1,000 back. So you are holding your $100, but you have not seen my $1,000, and I'm asking to give me your $100 because I'm going to give you $1,000. So in your mind, you are saying that how shall I trust this fellow that is going to give me $1,000 if I give $100? Because there is a fear of losing what you have, the fear of losing it, So the fear is there, the fear that if I give up my family and just become Krishna devotee, what is going to happen? Who's going to look after me? So all this fear is there. But Krishna says one must give up fear. He said that Vitaraga, Bhaya was the fear. This fear of them must be given up. The fear that what's going to happen to me if I become absorbed in Krishna consciousness. That fear nature must be removed. Otherwise, without the removing fear, one cannot really see the true nature of Krishna. It's not possible. And then there's anger, krodha. Vitaraga, Bhaya, krodha. Krodha, the anger is there. What is anger? Anger is the result of not attaining one's expectation. So one becomes angry. There's attachment to something, and when there is no, when one does not get what one is expecting, and then there's anger. So the anger is there. So as long as one is afflicted by anger, the prospect of becoming Krishna conscious is not there. So that's why the anger must be given up. The anger, the attachment, the fear, all these. And then if one is able to give up these three, then the second line is their matmaya, to be absorbed in Krishna, to be fully absorbed in the Lord. Matmaya. And then if one develops the full absorption in the Lord, so ultimately, mat upashrita, taking full shelter of the Lord. Taking full shelter. So the Acharyas, they've described this very, very, elaborately in terms of, taking shelter, taking shelter of the Lord. And in the ninth chapter of the Bhagavad-Gita, whereby Lord Krishna said that he said to those who have taken shelter of me, Anaya Chintayanutuma, Yajana Payapasate, he said Yoga came up Vahamiaham. He said that those who are fully taking shelter of me, Yoga came up Vahamiaham. He said that I actually carry their needs. If they need something, I carry it for them and deliver it to them. Krishna says that. But of course, we should not be thinking that just because Krishna said that if I need something, if a devotee needs something, he personally deliver and give it to them. So a devotee does not aspire for that. He does it because a devotee simply wants to serve Krishna. He doesn't want Krishna to serve him. Actually, a devotee simply wants to render love for Krishna without any expectation of anything, any result. And that's why Mahaprabhu pray. He said, Asli Sheva Padam Pinanshtumam, Adasana Mamata Karotuva, Eratava Vitatula, Patu Matpananatus, that my dear Lord, I don't care if you make me happy by being present before me, or if you make me unhappy by not being present before me. I simply want to be your servant, birth after birth. I simply want to be your servant, that's all. I just want to be able to serve you, to render loving service unto you without any expectation of result. Because it's not easy, when we say that Krishna never leave Vrindavan because of the so much love that Vijayabasi have for him, because that love is unconditional love. That love is unconditional. That love, there's no partiality there. That I want to love Krishna so that because of this. There's just no partiality. It's not a business dealing. It's not a business dealing that, okay, I'm doing this so that I get this. I want to attain freedom from this material world, so therefore I have to serve Bhagavan. No, that's a business. So that's what, when Dhruva Maharaj, when he was meditating for a benediction from the Lord, so that he can attain a kingdom that is much more bigger than his grandfather's kingdom. But the Lord appeared to him because the Lord saw that Dhruva was so determined for his austerity, for his desire, was so determined, he just wanted to see the Lord. So when the Lord appeared to him, so Dhruva, he saw this magnificent form of the Lord that is so beautiful, that is so enthralling. So this beauty of the Lord captivated the Dhruva. And then he said, oh my Lord, whatever I was desiring, it's just like broken pieces of glass. By seeing you, this is most wonderful gem, is most valuable than the most valuable diamond. By seeing you. Even when the Lord offered him something, he said, my dear Lord, I'm not here, I don't want to do business with you. I just want to be your servant, that's all. So, the taking shelter of the Lord, being absorbed in the Lord, of course this verse, it mentioned that the ultimately, one develop, love for him. And this conditional love of God is described at the last chapter, at the last paragraph of this purport, whereby the Prabhupada is describing the progression of a devotional service, starting from Ado Strada Tata Sadhu Sangha, starting from the developing faith, and then whereby one associated with a sadhu, and then the sadhu gives some spiritual instruction, then one takes short of the sadhu, one renders service according to his guidance, and then by doing that, ultimately, one becomes free from anarthas, unwanted bad habits, and as one becomes free from all the bad habits, then one starts developing attachment to the Lord. One starts developing attachment to the Lord, and then from there, the bhav the feelings, the loving feelings to the Lord develops. And as the loving feeling of the Lord to develops, then the love of God actually become germinate. Love of God, make its appearance. And of course, there are a lot of different classifications of that love, of that love of God, starting from Bhava to Mahabhav, and like different classifications, that is there. But all these things is attainable if one have a positive association. So there must be positive association with advanced devotees, which means if you really want to make a very tangible progress in spiritual life, then we have to find those devotees who are really, really advanced, who are really doing things according to the books, who are very, very serious in Krishna consciousness. We should find those kind of devotees and associate with them, and we seek friendship with those kind of devotees. Have the same like-mindedness with those kind of devotees. That is very serious. That's what we have to do anyway. Even the materialists, they do that. The materialists, they want to become materially successful. They find a successful materialist in the association. So similarly also, we want to be spiritually successful, become spiritually advanced, then we associate with advanced devotees. This is the last paragraph that Srila Prabhupada is indicating in this purport. Okay, so thank you very much. Any question? Hare Krishna.